This is Marianne Martindale from the Alliance for a Better Utah, and welcome to the Better Utah Beat. Let's talk about fear. Fear has become one of the most common, well-known tools in politics, and the phrase politics of fear has become nearly a household staple thanks to Karl Rove and his tactics during the George W. Bush campaigns. When we see similar tactics employed by Governor Gary Herbert and Senator Orrin Hatch while complaining about the Supreme Court's ruling on the Affordable Care Act this past week, there is simply no other way to describe it but politics of fear. Simply put, they are trying to scare us into agreement. For his part, Governor Herbert held a press conference in which he told the people of Utah that Obamacare being ruled constitutional was going to send the stock market spiraling out of control, as investors were going to supposedly pull their money out of the economy in protest, a claim particularly threatening in an economy that has just started to recover. The fact that this claim has no basis in reality doesn't discourage the governor, because his intent isn't really to provide accurate information, but to instill fear. Herbert used his bully pulpit to frighten residents in an effort to further his own partisan political agenda. In point of fact, the Dow rose nearly 430 points between the time of the announcement on Thursday and the close of business on Friday, the exact opposite of what the governor's threat predicted would happen. And ironically, even though the Dow rose, the fact is that it had very little to do with the Supreme Court's decision on Obamacare, but rather was a reaction to economic news from Europe. Senator Orrin Hatch was little better, continuing his ongoing lies about the realities of the Affordable Care Act in an email to his supporters, claiming that Obamacare will cause you to lose your current health insurance, and that the government is now going to come between you and your doctor. Look, we'll be the first to admit there's a legitimate debate to be had about the Affordable Care Act, with plenty of valid points of concern from both the left and the right. But there is no denying the incredible benefit of providing quality, affordable care to 30 million Americans. As with most legislation, we hope that with time it will be refined and improved. But for Senator Hatch to so blatantly exploit the fears of average citizens by fabricating falsehoods about the legislation is borderline criminal. Here are the facts about the Affordable Care Act. First, if you are lucky enough to be one of the Americans who has insurance right now, then the law will not directly affect you. You can keep your same plan, same doctors, same insurance company. The only difference is that your premiums may actually go down once the 2014 provisions kick in and everyone else joins. And you, along with millions of other Americans, may already be eligible to receive a premium rebate this year thanks to the law. Second, Hatch's claim about the government coming between you and your doctor is intended to conjure up images of endless red tape as you are forced to petition your governor for a kidney transplant, who petitions your congressman, who petitions the State Department, and on into whatever bureaucratic nightmare Hatch is hoping he can make you believe. It couldn't be further from the truth or more ridiculous. The Affordable Care Act is designed specifically to encourage greater use of private health insurance companies. And finally, Senator Hatch, along with many of his fellow Republicans, have already said they support the individual mandate. In 1993, he voted in favor of health care reform legislation that would have implemented the very same mandate when it was proposed by his fellow Republicans. Only now, as he continues his flip-flop to the far right to ensure his re-election, does he oppose that provision. Instead of honestly educating the public and working to find real solutions to those gaps which do exist in the healthcare law, a law not only designed by President Obama, but also by Mitt Romney while governor of Massachusetts, the injection of fear into the conversation by Governor Herbert and Senator Hatch only serves to deepen the wedge of partisan division so pervasive in our current political landscape. Until next week, this is Marianne Martindale from the Alliance for a Better Utah with this week's edition of the Better Utah Beat. Have a happy and safe 4th of July, and remember, don't use your grass as target practice.
For more information about the Alliance for a Better Utah's current projects, please visit betterutah.org and kickalec.out.org.